making, Dad?
Chicken chow mein over rice.
Yeah, it's Chef Boyardee, man.
There it is.
Yep.
The value of a marlin spike for cooking on a boat.
Aha.
It pokes, it prods, it cuts really sharply.
Very sharply. I know. I filleted my own skin.
Yeah. First thing you did with your new knife was to slice
my hand open. The bow thruster is going to go right there. But before we can do that, we had to take Bob out of the water. A bow thruster is a small engine and prop that goes on the front of the boat. The next step, figuring out exactly where to put the bow thruster. Can't go too high, can't go too low, can't go too far forward, can't go too far back. We're always glad for Clint's expertise and guidance in either the boatyard projects or our do-it-yourself projects.
Cut your tube off.
Thanks, Clint.
You're going to be cutting it off.
After measuring, talking, head scratching, staring at the boat, measuring again, more head scratching, they finally made a decision, and this is where the bow thruster is going. Here's the hose.
Meanwhile.
So here's what I'm doing. I'm running the 4-aught from the battery compartment, which is underneath the aft cabin bunk, all the way forward for the bowsprit. Now the reason I'm doing it is because, frankly, I think I've crossed over where, like, I really don't want anybody else to do it. I know the boat, I know the wires, I know the little nooks and crannies, and I can make the decisions that I'm going to have to live with later on. So here's Dad explaining how to use the new hole saw.
Okay, so you can see this. This bit has a counter push spring right here. It's very taut. So you have to push a lot harder than you would think you would have to.
Great.
Right?
Okay.
Okay.
Yay! Okay, hold on. I can hear y'all saying, gotta push harder. Damn it. But it's the angle I'm not doing good at. Well, I guess I could do a little more, huh? You know what just happened? For real, the battery died. While battery charged, I decided to work on the windlass power wires and the pedals, all of which are going to come through the anchor locker and connect to the relay on the V-berth bulkhead wall that's between the V-berth and the anchor locker that you see here. These in before I put the relay up there, because I don't want any problems. Right? It's got support. I got the relay up and a big chunk of the 4-aught path built. Explain that later. So while we were working on the 4-aught and the windlass relay, Paul was putting in the pipe, the tunnel for the bow thruster. So here we are all still working in the forward cabin, and this is under the V-berth bunk. Here's the tunnel that the prop will sit in. So this is your fiberglass piece.
Biax.
Okay.
What's your resin on it?
So say that
Biaxial.
biaxial.
Meaning
And so
it's got two axes.
So it's vertical and
You
horizontal.
can see
Yeah. Let me make sure
See how you can see the lines going through the brush?
Right.
Because you don't want to have a lot of hairs. The hairs are what's going to end up having to, you're going to have to, as soon as I say that, I find some. You're going to have to grind that stuff off because you want everything to lay out clean. The less stuff, the cleaner your edges are, the less finish work you have to do.
Okay. Now can you push the little hairs into the...
That's what I just did.
Okay. I was double checking that.
Yep.
Very
And
cool.
everything wants to, you want to make sure when you hand lay like this, you want to make sure, see like that, you want to make sure and get any bubble of air, because the air, the resins, you got to squeeze the air out. The resin won't just adhere if there's air. So everything looks the same color, everything looks uniform, and you're in good shape.
And how many layers of this will you put on?
I've got 5 pieces to put on.
Okay.
And all I'm doing is just trying to build out towards this protrusion. And when I get done with the 5 layers, they kick off. I'm going to come over it with some fairing compound. Not really fairing compound, but adhesive filler. So I'm going to use resin and that microfiber adhesive filler, which is ground up glass.
While the fiberglass was drying, I decided to install the foot pedals for the windlass. What I'm going to do is install the windlass pedals over here on the left side or port side, one on top of the other. So the top one would be forward and the bottom one would be back. So I'm just going to do a quick investigation and see how it's going to go in. All right. So here's my thought. I would put red on top because back in black, go back, it'll remember black back. I don't know. So basically we're going to step on the black button and that's going to pull the anchor up. And if you step on the red button, it's going to drop the anchor. So now I just need to put these holes in and run the wire down into the anchor locker. And so you have the little arrow. So I'm guessing that means that way or that way. I hope this is right because I put the red to go forward, but it doesn't really say on here whether it's forward and back. So I'm just going to have to mark it. I'm sure it has something to do with the relay. But what I think is kind of interesting, like if you open this up, hold up, right? Then you have this, it's like a through deck fitting. So I'm to put some, screw it and glue it, as Dad would say. Anyway, and then the only thing is that the wire is small, but that needs to sit down inside the hole. So I gotta make the hole big enough so that this can slide down inside of it, and then I can screw it in and probably put some boodle tape around there, and because we do have teak decks, so it's not gonna sit flush. So hold that thought. Alright, so I think I'm going to put my hole right here. Alright, so after a few minutes of kind of finagling and wiggling, I got it in, and I think it's straight enough. Kind of like, I haven't screwed it down yet, because now, before I do all that, I'm going to double check that the wire is in a good spot down below as well. So I went ahead and put the other one in. So this is our windlass operation. The black button takes the windlass up, and the red button will push the windlass down, or release the anchor, as it were. Alright, so my battery's about dead, and the flash won't work, but there they are. And there's the forward, and there's the aft, and there's one of the holes that I drug that I didn't like the way it sat. So I did another hole, and I'm going to have to patch that one, but it'll still fit under the pedal. Unfortunately, I had to leave and take my little dog to the emergency vet, but the bow thruster project continued. And here we go, the bow thruster prop inside that tube. Looks like Dad started painting, and we still need to hook up the 4/0 cable and the power to the bow thruster, but it's in.